Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk, Babin number 83. I ask unanimous consent that the amendment be considered as read.
Without objection, so ordered.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment would simply give the American people, through their elected representatives in Congress, a final check of the new ATC Corporation's ability to assess and impose fees on the traveling public. My amendment would do this by allowing Congress, through a joint resolution that makes it all the way through the legislative process during the 90-day review period. It would block the implementation of any fee increase. I recognize that the overarching goal of this entire ATC Corporation endeavor is to get the FAA and the federal government out of the air traffic control business. Therefore, let me point out just a few of the reasons why this amendment is not in contradiction to that effort. This resolution would not be guaranteed a privileged or expedited procedural process. It would be up to the appropriate committee chairs and leadership in both chambers to decide when and if to bring the resolution forward, just like any other piece of legislation. In the Senate, the resolution would most likely not be exempt from a filibuster and therefore would be subject to the typical 60-vote threshold for moving legislation forward. I would point out that this is actually a tougher climb than the procedures for the Congressional Review Act resolution that we passed this Congress to block Waters of the United States scheme. Finally, the resolution, if passed by Congress, would still need the support and signature of the President to go into effect and block the fee increase. If the President were to veto the resolution, a two-thirds vote in both chambers would be needed. Given those facts, it should be obvious that any proposed fee would need to attract widespread bipartisan opposition to be successfully challenged and nullified through this procedure. Instead of having Congress micromanage the process, we would instead serve as a last-ditch measure and a safeguard against an unreasonable, outrageous fee increase that nevertheless manages to clear the ATC board and the court system. Finally, no matter the outcome, the votes on these resolutions would let the American people know where their elected representatives stand on any proposed fee increase, no matter who is in charge of imposing them. Let me say again that this amendment does not hamstring the ATC Corporation, but rather it just gives Congress a fail-safe measure to rein it in if absolutely necessary. This is a stamp of disapproval, basically, is what this is. So I urge a yes vote on my amendment. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Babin. I agree with what Dr. Babin's amendment tries to accomplish. I have no opposition to it. Any members wish to be heard on this amendment? Any members wish to offer an amendment to the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of Mr. Babin's amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The amendment passes. The amendment is agreed to.